What if I told you the richest man in the kingdom lost everything overnight? His wealth, his home, his family, all gone. But instead of begging, complaining, or giving up, he chose silence. And in that silence, he built an empire greater than anyone had ever seen. This is the untold story of Ayaan, the man who lost it all, but rebuilt more than anyone ever imagined. Stay with me, because this story could change the way you see failure forever. Introduction: the fall of a man who had everything once. In a quiet kingdom, nestled between vast green hills and silver rivers, there lived a merchant named Ayaan. Ayaan was not just any merchant. He was the wealthiest trader the kingdom had ever known. His ships sailed across oceans, his caravans crossed deserts, and his warehouses brimmed with treasures from every corner of the world. His name echoed in every market square, sung by merchants and whispered by common folk, Ayaan the Golden. But as the moon waxes and wanes, fortune too is ever changing. In the cruel twist of a single year, Ayaan lost everything. A caravan raided by bandits, a fleet sunk by a sudden storm, his grand mansion caught fire, a trusted partner betrayed him, and the final blow: his beloved wife fell gravely ill and passed away. Everything that gave him power, pride, and purpose gone. One winter morning, wearing nothing but torn robes and sitting on the cold stone steps of a temple, Ayaan looked up to the gray sky and whispered, "I have nothing left, or do I?" For what Ayaan still possessed was unseen by the world. A mind sharpened by wisdom, and a will hardened by suffering. And thus began the silent building of an empire. Chapter 1. The silent resolve. No man spoke to Ayaan that winter. Friends disappeared. Relatives turned away. The world loves the rising sun, but forgets the setting one. But Ayaan was not like the rest. Each morning before sunrise, he would walk to the market square, not to beg, but to watch. He observed how merchants set up stalls, how farmers bargained, how gold changed hands. He listened, learned, and took mental notes. For weeks, he remained silent, unnoticed like a ghost in the crowd. One day, while warming his hands by a baker's oven, Ayaan saw the old baker struggling to lift a sack of flour. Without a word, Ayaan helped. The baker smiled. "Thank you, stranger." Still silent, Ayaan nodded. The baker asked, "Can you knead dough?" Ayaan nodded again. And thus, his first job after ruin began. In silence, in a small bakery at the edge of the market. Chapter 2. The seed of return. Months passed. Ayaan kneaded dough, swept floors, and cleaned ovens. But at night, when the town slept, he sketched plans in the dust of the bakery floor. Visions of trade routes, supply chains, and markets. His silence made him mysterious. Customers noticed the quiet worker, who never spoke yet worked tirelessly. Whispers spread, "Who is this silent man? Such discipline, such focus. He must have been someone important." One morning, the baker fell ill. The shop stood empty. Ayaan opened the bakery alone. He baked, served, and cleaned without uttering a single word. That day, the bakery earned 3 times its usual silver. The baker, recovering in bed, asked, "How did you do it?" Ayaan finally spoke. "I watched. I learned. I understood what the people wanted." The baker, amazed, said, "Half this bakery is yours now if you stay." But Ayaan shook his head. "I want no charity. I will build something greater, but thank you, old friend." He left the bakery with nothing but 5 silver coins and a plan. Chapter 3. The market of broken things. Ayaan bought broken goods, cracked pots, torn fabrics, rusted tools, things everyone thought worthless. In his tiny rented shed, he worked by candlelight, fixing and restoring. Slowly, the people noticed. His pots don't leak. His tools last longer than the blacksmith's. His repaired goods sold quickly, and with every coin he earned, he bought more broken things. Within months, the shed was too small. He rented a shop, hired helpers, taught them to fix things, not just for profit but with pride. His shop became famous, the market of broken things. Rich merchants came, buying rare restored goods for high prices. Poor villagers came, knowing Ayaan would fix their belongings for almost nothing. He spoke little, but his eyes, his hands, his quiet kindness spoke louder than words. Chapter 4. The Silent Network. As the seasons turned, Ayaan's reputation reached distant towns. Young men and women came to learn from him. He taught them not only skills but values, patience, precision, purpose. His apprentices opened their own shops in other villages, but they all remained loyal to Ayaan. They sent him rare broken goods, shared profits, and whispered his name far and wide. A silent network grew, a web of craftsmen, traders, and builders, all bound not by contracts, but by trust. Soon, Ayaan controlled the kingdom's supply of rare restored goods, without raising an army, without shouting commands, without making noise. His empire was growing silently, steadily, like roots beneath the earth. Chapter 5. The Merchant King returns years past. The king of the land heard of the quiet merchant, whose shops flourished across the realm. One day, a royal messenger arrived. His Majesty invites you to the palace. Ayaan, dressed in simple robes, entered the grand court. The king, seated on his golden throne, spoke. Many merchants come boasting of wealth, but you, silent one, have built an empire without noise, without war. How? Ayaan bowed. I built what others discarded. I trusted those the world ignored. I spoke less, listened more, and in silence I found strength. The court fell silent. The king smiled. Wise words. I offer you a title, Lord of Trade. Rule the markets, shape the kingdom's commerce. But Ayaan shook his head. I seek no title. Let my empire remain silent, unseen. That is its strength. The king laughed. Then rule in your way. The markets are yours to shape. And so Ayaan returned not as a merchant, but as the silent king of trade. Chapter 6. The empire of quiet power. Ayaan's silent empire grew beyond the kingdom. Ships carrying restored goods sailed to distant lands. Caravans moved across deserts. His apprentices became masters, teaching new generations. No banners bore his name. No statues honored his face. Yet every market, every village, every workshop felt his presence. He built roads without armies. He moved gold without wars. He shaped destinies without commands. Silence became his greatest weapon. Chapter 7. The return to the temple one autumn morning, old and gray. Ayaan walked to the temple steps where he had once sat broken. A young merchant, struggling with failure, sat there now, head in hands, eyes full of despair. Ayaan sat beside him, silent. The young man glanced and whispered, I've lost everything. Ayaan smiled gently. Good, he said softly. Now you can build. In silence, the young man looked up, confused. Ayaan rose, placed a silver coin in his hand, and walked away, leaving behind the seed of a new empire. Conclusion: the empire that spoke no words, Ayaan's empire, thrived for generations, not built on noise, pride, or titles, but on quiet work, patient building, and silent strength. His story spread far and wide, the man who lost everything, but built an empire in silence. And so, in the hearts of dreamers, workers, and silent builders, Ayaan lived forever. The moral of the story: silence is not weakness, it is strength. It is not emptiness, it is preparation. In silence, the greatest empires are built.